Cloud9 stand one map away from clinching playoffs here in VCT Americas as they take a dominant win 13-5 over MiBR to start the series. I'm Mimi back on the desk again with Mel and Van Silly to break down the first map of that series. And Mel, Cloud9 are probably the only team we have in Americas where when we expect them to dominate a game, they actually come out and do it. They're just so consistently good.
It's crazy, too, because 5-7, like 5 rounds on attack for MiBR on split when you lose pistol is actually good. Like, that's actually a decent, you can work with that. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, maybe we're starting to see, we can see a crack from C9.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't. They just were like, all right, we're out of here. Let's just win this pistol, win the Antico, and win the bonus. Let's get out of here. Like, they want to make this quick.
It definitely looked like it was starting things off really rocky for MiBR, though the same story continues to haunt them when they have really hard pistol rounds where they just can't win it. It continues to haunt them through these rounds. And the other winning condition, I think at this point for MiBR, you can't really focus on trying to anti-start your team. You're just trying to make your rounds a little bit better and your gameplay a little bit better. And that comes down to trying to win when you have stronger buys against your opponents, and you still can't.
That's what's crazy, because you feel like you're up in numbers, you have a winnable game, and then Cloud9 pulls out a bonus round win, like what happened in round 15 here.
And I feel like C9 is just so good with these guns that are like Stingers and Spectres. I mean, we saw the first half, they won at Thrifty, and then with the bonus, it's kind of like the same vibe. And even when they're a man down and I'm watching Cloud9 in this game, you're thinking to yourself, like, this is winnable. Like, we're seeing Zelsis and Rooney in like a 2v4, you're thinking, this is winnable.
Yeah, what do you think it is that makes them so good on these low buy rounds?
I mean, honestly, I've watched a lot of their comms videos online, and if you watch, they're just constantly communicating. And a lot of their proactivity on defense and attack as well comes from how well all of them talk to each other. Like, they have a really good flow of comms, and having that comms and having a good game plan going into the round, everyone's on the same page, and you pair that with like their insane mechanics, I feel like you can't go wrong.
And it's huge rounds for them to win, but for their opponent, that is always booming. I mean, you saw it on the faces of MiBR. They were so close to making that a close map, but it was rounds like that that stole it away.
Exactly. It always comes down to just C9 getting those timings. As you talk about good comms, I think it's not only on the IGL calling at this point from Rooney, it's just every person, actually, every player bringing into those elements to say, I have a timing on this. Let's react onto that one too. And we've seen those opportunities in these mid splits that are always doing for C9. And finding a lot of value on that too, on how we were activating not only Zeppa but also Leaf finding timings. You mentioned before, Bella, how you talk about Zeppa being good on Stingers, but I think Leaf also was another player that was just really, really strong on Stingers as well.
No, those two are definitely competing for like who can get the most Stinger kills worldwide. It's definitely they're in that close competition. It's like head to head.
I saw a tweet from Leaf too, where it was like top 10 AWP players in VC Americas, and he just quote tweeted it like, what about the Stinger stats? He's definitely on top of the world. That one. But another guy who's kind of a Stinger demon, and also a really vocal player on this team, is Zelsis, who had himself a fantastic game now.
Zelsis, again, I keep going back to these comms videos. It gives you so much insight on these players and these teams. I'd highly recommend you guys go check them out as well. But Zelsis, every round, his energy is super high. I think he talked about it one of the weeks himself, how these younger players really look at him as a role model and looking at him for how to set the energy and set the tone. And on top of that, he sets a tone when it comes to mid-rounding. He's incredibly vocal. Rooney, you got the pre-rounds, but you can always count on Zelsis to give you a good read or a good option in the middle of the round based on what he's seeing. And as an IGL, that is invaluable. And on top of that, he can frag. He can put you in situations where you're down 2v4, you still might win the round. Like, that is not an easy feature to have. Just having that trait that you can pull back rounds from deficits, pull back rounds from economical disadvantages. Bro can do it all. I don't know what else to say.
He even play with the crowd too, winning the rounds, pointing at the crowd. I got this. But I definitely do agree with Zelsis on the chemistry that he also brings probably inside the C9 house, outside of the server. Because yes, of course, he sometimes it's out of the loop how he's actually acting here on the screen. But at the same time, I think that brotherly love that he brings over to his teammates also makes everybody much more comfortable to play as a unit, as a team. And newcomers that are coming in, like Rooney once again, like Jake, they're feeling comfortable. They're feeling at home, and I think that's really showing the results too, thanks to Zelsis.
He's really got the vibes. This entire team just seems like a really good environment. But another guy, it feels like every single player on this roster we talk about, we're like, oh, he's so vocal, he had so much to fray. But you got to talk about Leaf. He's our player in the Aim Lab shoot-around, getting ready for map number 2. And he's a player who I would say shoots pretty good, Mel.
I would say at the least. And you know what's interesting? I think he plays in like one of the lowest senses in
You
Americas.
can see how much he's moving his mouse.
Yeah,
He's doing
like,
some micro adjustments.
Dude, I think he tweeted the other day, I was like, he tweeted 0.165 800 DPI, and that was the tweet.
Wow.
That's like a third of my sense, which still feels not even that high.
And he's a duelist player. He's making like he has like 180 sometimes. I genuinely don't know how he does it. But on top of that, focusing on moving his arm 4 feet and like Olympic banner, he also balances being super vocal. I don't know how he does it. And again, you could look at anyone on this team and look at their vocality. But Leaf has been outspoken about, you know, how much he like VOD reviews, or his coach rather, MC, talks about how much how much Leaf puts in outside of the game and not just inside.
Look at his tricep contract every time he's also flicking the mouse too, right? He's building a lot of these muscles in the arm, not only in muscle memory, but also just in his arm in general. But yes, definitely Leaf was also a player that was bringing a lot of duelist stats playing a Sky when we were first starting it, right? So yes, he's flexible, able to play a lot of roles as a duelist, but at the same time, when he has to flex, just like we saw on a Sky on a map like Split, on a map like Lotus, for example, too, he could put the same numbers along with the other duelists that we currently see in the Americas. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, it is wild the amount of roles that this guy can play. But we're heading into map number 2 of the series, which is surprisingly the choice of MiBR with Lotus. Mel, can you talk to me a little bit about like why you think they're going for this? Because for me as an outsider, this seems like probably Cloud9's best map.
I mean, it's looking rough right now. Like, it's looking real. Like, you're in the trenches with this one. I think Bazooka must have some read on how to mess with the timings and mess with the info re-clears, because I do think as much as we put a lot of emphasis on, you know, Zeppa's info util, and he has really good timings on the clear, and they hard gamble, not hard gamble, but they hard stack off of it, you could use that against them and be like, he's gonna clear at this timing, he's gonna clear at 114, wait outside, dodge the flash, walk back in, contact back onto these lines, and I think there must be a hard read from Bazooka to be picking this map.
Yeah, I agree with that too, especially if C9 are going to continue with an agent pick that might bring out the Neon once again, where when you're looking at how C9 played against Sentinel 2, how they want to get map control on defense, especially on the half that they're starting now, they were playing very aggressive actually on those extremities to try to gain that map control first and then get those fast rotates thanks to having that Neon in that rotation. So maybe down for BZK in that game plan, when you're actually looking at the anti-strat that you want to bring towards C9 too, is maybe try to break those timings, weaken out the defenses off cutting noise and re-hitting it and hopefully ridding it correctly, and also making sure that you're getting rid of that utility very early for C9 because they're so good in these flood retakes. They have so much utility still on the flood retakes. You have to find a way to utilize all of that, deplete all of that early into the rounds.
The players on this team just feel like a coach's dream on the defensive side with how proactive people are at finding information and getting the timings on those rotations. We were talking a lot about Zeppa and Leaf, but it's those guys that set the pace on this one and set them up for those retakes that they're so good at.
I think it's going to be a really tough uphill battle for MiBR, but like you said, I really think it does start with messing with these timings, and maybe if they pull out an interesting comp, they can catch Cloud9 off guard.
What do you think they might head towards here if there is a comp pivot for MiBR?
I mean, it's hard to say. Within Neon, I think you might need to use some more util to break into these sites or have more util to run fakes on them. I think that's honestly the name of the game here, is trying to mess up with the rotations, fake C9 out. Hopefully you get a free site or with only one person and try to close with the post plan. I'm not sure how else they could do it.
Yeah, again, I think Heat going into a Raze actually is a great one that I was trying to see if he was going to go Jet or Raze instead. Being a Raze now, trying to break the util with satchels, maybe sometimes if you're trying to go into those type of hits that Sentinels are trying to do with that alarm bot, or should I say the lockdown, sorry, into B sites, well, sometimes the satchels will be really good to break that KJ utility into those B sites. So maybe they have that plan themselves to try to break utility, not only waste it out from their opponents too, and hopefully they have better scaling and map control from their defaults from that.
And that strategy is going to be very important. But honestly, what I'm looking at right now is the mental for MiBR. It seems like in series like this one, when they lose a close map like they did against Furia, the second map they almost fall apart. We need to see that story change.
And now is the time to do it. You can't just continually have these glimpses of, oh man, we can do this really well. You just need to straight up do it at some point.
Having a glimpse, having a moment where it looks like you can upset a better team is not enough. MiBR need to get a win on the board to stay in this series. If not, Cloud9 are looking to clinch a spot in playoffs as we get Map 2 underway with your casters, Doug and Bola.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Yeah, it's a must-win, 1,000% for MiBR, but even it can be a must-win as much as you want it to be. It still feels like an impossible task going on to Lotus against Cloud9.
Yeah, this is a tough ask. I mean, this is MiBR's undefeated map, but they won in week 1 and they won in week 2, and they haven't played it since. So I'm wondering, since that shift that we saw in their ability to perform, if they still even can contend on this map. And Cloud9 just looks so good on this. They're the best team in the league on this map.
I mean, they look good everywhere.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, they're certainly a force to be reckoned with on Lotus. They're going to be on the defensive side. Leafs going to be running with Neon.
I think that important, you just said they're starting on the defense. Cloud9 is so good on defense. And to be able to flip this map as defensive-sided, they have 71% defensive round wins, where this map is very attacker-sided. It's so shocking. And I think one of the important things here is how Zeppa plays, or how Leaf plays off of the flashes that Zeppa's information gets.
It really just feels like Cloud9 consistently defies statistics.
Yeah.
They defy what is expected. They defy the norm.
You just saw there.
To have a win rate that high on is just insane.
Going into the site though. Good execute so far from MiBR. The stun does hit Leaf. They're going to try to follow up on it, but Jake's there to stop.
And Leaf is there to help as well, but both of those pieces fall. Rotations coming through from Zeppa and Rooney. FRZ and RGL are both weak.
Oh.
That's FRZ dead. That's another.
Excuse me?
Just JZZ now.
What is that flash from Zeppa earlier on?
Well, and how quickly the tides turn. Forced to land a filthy headshot angle just to keep the round competitive, just to give yourself a chance. And it buys time for Zeppa to get the third.
My goodness. That drop flash is insane. The fact that it's basically a pop flash, you don't know where it's coming from, and then you're also peeking from a completely different angle as the smoke falls. The timing is just beautiful for Zeppa. And then Rooney as well in the final kill. He throws a molly that forces the player to come through, and Zeppa's able to take all that space while that's happening. While that space is denied. Cloud9 another pistol edge. They're 3-0 for so far.
Another pistol, another defensive round win, and another very clean round out from Cloud9 in general. Hard not to sing their praises.
Couple sheriffs here. On the side of MiBR. FRZ, Mirrors. Not for Heat. Just so interesting. Heat only took one first tool on the last map. What a difference in confidence you're seeing from this guy. And he's got to be better at it.
Dude, look at how far up he is, yeah.
Get lost.
I mean, nothing to protect this flank.
I'm out of here.
Man, Leaf's voice lines too are just toxic. He's the one who's in their spawn. What do you mean they're lost?
They're going to continue to push into Heat, who's, I mean, got nothing but a prayer at that point.
They're making them look like a challenger's team in some of these rounds. They just pushed all the way up C late. They weren't planning on pushing C, but the information that they got gave them the ability to try to pinch them. Because MiBR went for that early orb, that tells them what's kind of going on. If they're not peeking C, we can get this backstab in fairly easily.
And when it's free, Cloud9 are glad to take it.
Oh, and this hurts actually too. The two players who bought sheriffs in that last round, lacking util.
Now look at how scared. I mean, they're expecting aggression, A main.
What is that peek from Leaf? He just jumped on top of the root to get a weird angle before he goes for the full peek. And Mures was watching it too, by the way. But he knows that that little gap that people are trying to use to watch A main does not see the spot that he actually has to jump up on that root right there.
MiBR still trying to make it something out of this round. And they still have a shot at it. They still have 4 rifles. A little bit of utility to speak of as well. But they're going into this 3-player stack from Cloud9 on C.
Turret's watching it too. Good attempt to get the shot off before the turret even goes off. And it does pop the mollies.
Yeah, but it's still so... I mean, you're going to have to get through... You're going to get decayed as soon as you walk through the orb. And then you have 3 players watching you. You have a turret. You had a nano that you mentioned was just popped.
They're trying to threaten the timing while that orb is down. Instead, they pivot. Fake that they're going to continue forward and melts a little bit while going out, but they do get the B site. But these retakes have been so good for Cloud9. Are they really going to go for another bonus here? If they can convert another bonus, that's going to hurt MiBR so much. What a stun!
It's just criminal.
Peeling over here.
FRZ tries to get a timing on a kill.
And look how fast he's able to react there. He just flashed in, wants to go in, but he heals instantly and stops.
RGL's in so much trouble. He's got to be able to keep them back here, and he cannot. Another bonus for Cloud9. We heard them in between maps during the break, and they were just laughing on stage. Cloud9, where they were chilling, they were vibing, and you know, the recline chair thing has just kind of become a staple, but you can tell how loose they are on stage right now, and you're seeing it play out as well.
I'm sure you've heard some of those comp videos. He's laughing again. Who's gonna wipe the stinking grin off their faces, man? Because it's not looking like MiBR is.
No, dude, you can tell the opponents are in trouble when MC is just vibing.
I know.
And just laughing.
When he's not cursing at them.
Yeah. Hey, think about that interview just a couple moments ago where he's so, you know, animated.
We're gonna have an early engagement here. Fake TP out, but stun from Leaf. A lot of Neons who are running this comp on this map are walling out and going super fast, but here, just the threat of the stun is enough to keep him out.
No killjoy utility here.
How does it? Rune just got to spam.
Yeah, that was okay.
Just got to spam with the Vandal. And they're going fast.
I mean, Leaf is ulted.
They don't even need the flank to kill him. Rune's able to deal with that push from Heat by himself.
And you see the mollies were instantly popped. And then the alarm. Yeah,
no.
There they are, bro. I mean.
Oh, no. The decay is what you're talking about there. Through the orb, you mentioned it the round prior. Those mollies melt when you're losing 50 HP instantly.
Makes fun of German efficiency.
It was just so impossible for MiBR. You're getting chased down by Seekers. You know you fully lost control on B. You've got Leaf who's shooting lightning out of his fingers, chasing you down. Right, and you try to get away, and well, they're nanos. We're
You
dead.
got MC's laugh backstage haunting you.
What a stomp. It's early, though. It's early. It's early. And it's just very similar to how Split started.
Roll it back, Doug. Roll it back a little bit.
Very similar to how Split started. Right, it was off of a timeout from Bazooka that it got to a 7-5 half. Does that cope?
A little bit. I mean, this situation might feel similar, but on Split, we didn't actually have that bonus converted, right? And Cloud9 ecoed them. So it was actually already a much closer game.
I respect that, man of the people.
What is he, just watching?
Just looking for a fight
Supposed
elsewhere.
to play Street Fighter in the middle of this?
Here.
They're scared to go, man. They have an alarm bot to make sure there's no one pressing. You're not taking any space on mound. You're not taking any space mid. You've got the turret ensuring that that's being watched as well.
Poison orb emitting.
I've got your trail.
I mean, Zelsis has an opportunity to lock the round before it starts.
Oh, he did use the showstopper on Rooney.
Look at how weak he is. He died to the molly! Rooney was already dead!
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
30 seconds left.
Well, they still have the spike. They can still pivot. I'm trying to throw a little misdirection into this too. Tap the door. They're actually going to fully commit to this. They're going to leave Miri's back here by himself.
10 seconds
Okay,
left.
yeah, the pivot works. Able to tap that door, threaten the C hit, and while that's happening, you're looking for a pick. 3v4. Flash goes in there, going up heaven. Zappa's gonna receive them. Are they gonna read it though? No, they're not looking.
No, dude. Of course they're not. Well responded by JZZ. Zeppa only able to get one. And numbers in favor of the attacking side still. It's Jake who cannot hold them back. MiBR on the board.
There we go. That definitely would have been
They think they put
a
us
very
in the
brutal
dirt.
round to lose.
They're gonna find out we would.
But able to actually respond after getting that first kill, losing heat to that molly, getting locked down, getting locked out of that C site, and having a lot of map control lost. They were sending it on that C site. So the fact that they're able to re-clear the B corridor and go back into this is huge. But the thing, we keep feeling like this is a absolutely devastating blow from Cloud9 that they're giving with those first 4 rounds. And the reason we're thinking that is because it's just been such a streak. This 10 rounds in a row for Cloud9, including map 1. Execute gonna come in here. Miri is gonna throw up a molly.
Poison orb emitting.
But they haven't drop out. Trailblazer to bring him through tree too. Zelsis alone on this site. Has a molly in the middle of site. But this Execute, even though the Trailblazer cleared tree, doesn't give them the room to hit. And all 5 players here from Cloud9, they're coming up.
And there's just delay. I mean, the nanos, the mollies, the stuns. There's just so much to keep MiBR back here.
Nate is gonna actually trap Leaf. It missed. Stuns are huge. RGL's gonna be, ooh, not hit.
Nope. He's able to take down Leaf for it as well. Still a couple of numbers up for Cloud9. Still a chance to fight this thing, even though MiBR are continuing to make it more and more their way. Zeppa's gonna have to 1v3 to win this, and he cannot. He made a run at it though, as MiBR get up to 2.
2 in a row in there. I mean, even MiBR, if they don't push in the site when the Execute is happening, able to freeze in that moment and allow Cloud9 to flood, which is absolutely a normal thing that goes on there. Look at the coverage with those mollies too. The fact that MiBR are able to spring that without losing anybody is super important. And I think something that they're gonna have to continue to do, because we've seen already multiple molly kills in this game by Cloud9. And iteration is still being shown here. Stun flash through, this time MiBR challenging. But the wall's up, which means Cloud9 not going through. Again, so quickly reactive off of what MiBR is doing and what the needs are.
Light buy for Cloud9 here. Sheriff for Jake and a Stinger for Leaf.
3 rifles though. So definitely wouldn't consider this an eco. Some light armor bought too to make this possible. And definitely got a buy coming into the next, regardless of the outcome, but this is dangerous. Trailblazer just went through B, but there's no info there from Cloud9 to even receive because they're relying on that alarm bot. They have a 4-man split and 1 person on C. Meanwhile, that C information, Zelsis is getting crucial. He is actually just jiggling and seeing nobody's peeking C, so he's happy to call for this stack over towards A, but the danger here is it's very easy to pivot towards B on Lotus when you have this A main control.
And that's why you see Zelsis taking some of that space away to cut off the possibility of that. This forces them to, they have to commit through panel if that's the way they're gonna go.
All the kills through tree.
Zelsis has the timing, but he's been hurt!
Enemy remaining.
Patience out from MiBR. They've taken this round by the horns.
Exactly the same sort of freeze that we saw in the last 2. In the last round, we saw that freeze that actually baited out Cloud9 to flood on that A site, thinking that they were flooding in to hold the site, but they weren't actually on the site or threatening to really, really push forward. So just as MiBR break the streak of 10 in a row, they start a little streak of their own. Cloud9 with a full buy purchased into this. Rooney with his ult. I've seen them use it reactively. He's posted up over to that C site and he's put the wall over the rest of the map. Whereas in that last round, remember, it was deep towards C. Finally get that TP up.
Yeah.
Jake hasn't played this position yet.
No, MiBR have been able to take the space at the beginning of the rounds consistently.
Scout destroyed.
Already seeing a bit more of aggressive look from Cloud9.
Also not one-waying too, which is very interesting. I like the smoke that actually obscures them while he goes for that TP, puts them into that smoke, and then follows up with able to play into that. That flash got no info. Here's actually ducked into the smoke.
Toxin screen down.
Remember, it's been the pauses from MiBR that have caused fit for Cloud9 the last few rounds.
Rooney not popped his ult, by the way, so if he can get here in time for this retake, it might be dangerous. Leaf can stay a little bit longer, and he does get a kill from it.
He tried executing out on his side, isn't able to do so. Look at how far up they're scaling. They're pushing into Spawn!
Oh, no.
They're pushing into Rooney, who gets 2! They're gonna pivot back to C. Alarmbot is gonna keep Murray's back for just a moment. Still takes a little bit of damage here. RGL play planted. Now they're gonna have the pit that they're gonna have to navigate.
Last player standing.
It's just all out on Miri's now.
They're swinging
Playing
both
his
sides.
ult. That's one down, and Knife Out's not gonna how you're gonna win that one.
He's getting chased down from behind too, so he's really trying to escape. Potentially play mollies. while they continue to try to contain. And there's the round from Cloud9 responding finally. This one, they're trying really, I mean, they're pushing ahead of those Seekers too. I was thinking they were trying to push with the Seekers, but they're behind them. That one's tough. Nobody was locked down either. Nobody detained, so scratching my head on that one. Either way, a good attempt. Always nice to see throw past the ordinary, going for that extra step, which is what MiBR are doing, but at a certain point, you wonder if they need to just take what they can get. And again, these freezes are what, that's huge. There we go. Heat taking a first engagement. Hasn't been much of that today.
No, but I think part of it, especially in this happens because he hasn't been challenger. We've seen Heat satchel up to that box a few times. There just hasn't been anyone to receive.
Yeah, but I mean, comparing to what he was doing on Split.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here he's going way more aggressive, and RGL with the pick too.
They're going to keep going. We've got really nice control here. Jake falls. I mean, you can tell Zelsis can't really scale up. There's just no knowledge of what's on the other side.
We've gotten a nice streak of first engagements here that MiBR are winning that is catapulting them to advantages. The last 5 rounds, they've gotten 4 of the first kills. And Heat, to see him absolutely put the pressure up now is incredibly important.
Now, 4 of the last 5 going in favor of MiBR. You're right, Heat starting to find his footing.
And just in general, being able to find the entrances, and it is going to force Cloud9 back down to a light buy again. Thrifty potential. With 2 Stingers bought a Guardian as well.
They've hit Thrifties already. Can they do it again? They have the pit. They have Leaf Salt, but he's got a Phantom. I can't imagine he'll use it here.
I know I mentioned this in the last round, but I really love that smoke. Really makes it difficult for somebody to punish behind that flash and stun.
Off of the sound of the word being picked up by MiBR, Rooney uses a pit C. A Nano kept in it too.
And Zelsis as well. Very cool idea to leave the first engagement in the pit to Zelsis, to somebody else and not the Viper, so you can continue to maintain it despite probably going 1 for 1 if you challenge him. Maybe even worse.
You see how oppressive Killjoy can be here too. Present C, and you still have so much util B. You got the alarm bot and you have Nano.
And they do pop it too. Leaf is going to try to fight in front of it. The problem here is Jake actually probably has to ult out. Yeah, he does. Problem with committing 2 players into that pit is you guys are both kind of tethered to that position now. And there's only going to be left 3 players to hold the A site.
30 seconds left.
My ult's ready.
It's just a matter of time before they start to rotate out or feel confidence in the ability to do that.
Another pivot.
Here comes it.
And they're fully here. I mean, they've fully committed. Heat's invested the showstopper. He's going to scale all the way up. And look at how far back Jake is playing.
Yeah.
Spike planted.
Takes
Little
a-
damage done.
Yeah, just a tad.
Now, last time we saw MiBR go to this B site, they way overcommitted through Waterfall. This time they pumped the brakes. And you even have A control here still from Uriz.
Cover going out.
Very nice round for MiBR.
And we've had a streak of them.
Big flash in the B lane. There's no pinch coming in, but Leaf deals with the flank.
Here we go.
Oh, he's using the ult. They're going to fully commit to this. They're going to fully invest this. Can Leaf find value with the ult? Actually, Zepp's just able to
He's
get
gonna
through
spray
his
through
own.
this.
And there are only 2 playing back, and they're going to get run over.
Light by win from Cloud9, which means they go back up 2 rounds ahead of MiBR here and potentially maintain their insanely strong defensive side record on Lotus.
I mean, that's the difficulty with playing on B like that is you have so many different angles you need to cover. You can get pressured and flanked. And Cloud9 just got everything they wanted there.
And I want to repeat, this map is attack-sided. Usually ends about 7-5. And Cloud9 right now already playing ahead of the curve. And they constantly play ahead of the curve on this map. A 71% defensive side win rate usually means they're getting around 8 to 9, which is insane compared to the rest of the field. Last week against Sentinels, they stomped with this comp. And now here, MiBR is putting them to the test. But they really need to bring this even more because, again, this map's so difficult when you switch to that attack side. That's why it's so interesting to see them pick it when you know Cloud9 has the strength to really dominate on that first half. And Cloud9, obviously, they pick the defense. They pick the harder side typically because of how they've shifted that for themselves. I'm not sure if you're seeing the same exact ideas that we saw last week because I think MiBR is actually doing a great job disrupting them. They're really making it difficult, for example, this A main control that Jake is constantly going for that to find a lot of value. In some cases, they can't even get that TP off. And then those freezes that they're calling, the pivots that they're calling, make it difficult for Leaf to choose right. Where that was a key factor in the last game.
Jake did take the space A main that you mentioned, a deep alarm bot out from Zelsis towards B, but it seems like the hit for now is leaning towards C.
MiBR, their bread and butter is these fast rotates. It's what won them that series against NRG. You just haven't seen them be able to pull it off in the last couple of matches because they haven't been hitting individually.
Hitting now. Well, never mind. Rooney's hitting harder.
Remember the last time. There we go. Molly actually pops. But remember the last time. They got locked down. And now with only 2 players, you're going to have that pivot, the TP all the way up. Is he going to get locked down? No. Just got away from it. But he dies anyways. So it leaves RGL completely alone on the safe side. No control anywhere from where any of these chokes they could come from. Oh, and the Trailblazer is going to find him too. These situations are so difficult to clutch in. Doesn't find him though, but it does clear some crucial spots.
Plays the position quite nice, able to take care of Jake. Still 2 left to go.
Room to pivot.
He's gotten it down to 1. Now they know where he is. Zeppa, oh, the swing out and the kill from Zeppa.
My goodness, an attempt from RGL. That was a nice 1v3. Zeppa clearing past that smoke, I think that was his goal. I thought he was actually going to drop it down and start to clear some of sight, but instead opts to go for drop. Allows for those first 2 kills. What is that from Rudy?
It's clean.
He's just constantly getting so much on that C anchor, even when he dies. Last round and a chance for Cloud9 to just go right back to average for them. If they get an 8, they're not hurting their stats at all.
And for MiBR, an opportunity to take us back to the same halftime score we had on Split. Seekers to work with for JZZ this time.
Insta-molly towards C. Very interesting lens right at this choke to deny, for example, that peek that we actually saw earlier from Zelsis, where if you don't go for a crazy amount,
Placing swarm grenade.
the defense can get mad value out of peeking that corner. And we do see already a first indication of potential the ideas here from MiBR, given the fact that FRZ is the guy who just farmed that orb. So they're looking to get this lockdown on this round.
He's still just so far away from it. Jake's getting a lot of pressure. And he's gonna get away.
Oh, he missed the TP! He missed it! But they might not know here! He saw him.
They know. He's overwhelmed.
Flash almost in time to help him get out of that situation too. I'm betting the cooldown was the problem in the bottleneck there.
Time to hunt.
Meanwhile, FRZ is going for that second orb. They have 40 seconds. He's not going to be able to pick 2 up in this. So they've abandoned that plan. He's going to go for a late flank when they hit this A side.
Seek them.
The alarm bot and the nanos are going to be problematic though if that's a play, unless they just want to split and end up B, which seems to be the case. Off of the flash.
That's a good flash to lock
really
FRZ out.
Yeah, it is. Zels is dancing around it up in heaven, taking 2 with him.
Oh, and Leaf's actually Zeppa's actually given up his position by opening that revolving door, so they know he's coming from B-Link with that flash as well.
Zels is still tucked in the smoke.
They pushed Waterfall. This is tough because there's almost no plants that can be played from heaven.
And that's how you see Heat starting to take the space back that you just given up. Footsteps giving away some of the early movement.
I can't believe Zelsis is considering this.
He's just gonna hold. He's just gonna hold. He just holds it. He just holds it and steals the round away.
That is ridiculous. The fact that Zelsis was considering, and then he does make noise to start challenging. He's trying to pre-fire things. And he's just alone there. There's no way RGL's ever going to be in time. So Zelsis is able not only to give up the position he was just watching, but get both kills as well. And he's hysterical at this point. He doesn't know what's going on.
Cloud9 with plenty of reasons to laugh. Plenty of reasons to enjoy the victory they've gotten so far. We've actually had a chance to sit down with Leaf. There have been a lot of expectations around Cloud9 in the last few weeks, and he shared some of his thoughts on those.
I think our expectation before the season started was to make playoffs. Obviously, that was the kind of goal. It didn't matter how rough it was, whether or not we made it in 6th seed, if we somehow managed to get 1st seed or 2nd seed, you know what I mean? But I think that now, I mean, it's to get top 2. We have 3 matches left, and I think that each one is very losable. So I think that we need to make sure that we win the matches and not, you know, we can't hide stuff. We want to get that 2nd seed. So however possible, or however it is possible to get that, then we're going to make sure we get that.
I think the conversation that Leaf is having right there is super important because the top 2 seeds matter a lot. We've said it so many times here when talking about Loud, Cloud9. You just need one match when you make it to playoffs to make it to Tokyo. And that makes all the difference in the world. So to see the expectations shift from just playoffs for this team, which I think was a reasonable, you know, tempering of the expectations prior to this and the change that they had at the beginning of the season. And now top 2 is in factor. I'm interested that they're not even really concerned about going for top 1, which doesn't give you that much in the sense of the format. But I'd be really, really hunting for Loud.
I mean, from top 6 to pushing for top dog, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Crazy what a couple of weeks will do to expectations, to a season, to everything that's been put into preparation. Ah, Rooney's an artist. It was really good.
It's beautiful. A lot of Jake fans in the crowd too. That guy has been insane for this team. Both of the new pickups. And you can tell how the expectations shifted because of the guy's performance. Those two have fit so well into this team over the last 6 weeks. And it's interesting as well to hear Leaf's perspective on the next couple of matches, including this one, by the way, because that was shot before this match started. All of them losable. They've got MiBR, they've got Leviathan, and they have Crew. Crew sitting still winless. But any of those could shift their battle for that 2nd seed. So I think the importance he puts on them is super valid.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think it also, when you look at teams, oftentimes, really across any competitive sport, it's the younger teams that can struggle to beat teams they should be beating.
Yep.
Right? The teams that you should be able to roll over and you kind of walk in with a hangover, you aren't really ready on game day. And that, I mean, that's plagued teams before, so impressive for Cloud9 to have a good mentality going into it.
Second half now, Cloud9 in the attack, MiBR on defense, and MiBR is still hunting for a pistol win so far in this series. Are they going to be able to find it? Deep smoke out from Jake, actually missed the one-way, so they have to be a lot more cautious around this.
Leave at the first to go, now an orb from Miri's keeping him back.
I think that flash missed. It's supposed to go over top of Waterfall by JZZ. And it didn't find any information, and he's rotating off of that because of it. I don't even think he recognized that that flash didn't hit properly. Because it definitely would have spotted the player's back mound, and that's the cue for Cloud9 to go. And I think Miri's is super surprised by that information.
Spike down, C.
The fact that
They just opened the door and got the kills while they're flooding.
Spike planted.
very well played, and they're going to continue to push on that side. Meanwhile, Cloud9 scales up into spawn.
What an incredible response immediately from Cloud9.
FRZ taking a bit step back while the rest of the hits happening out onto the site. They're trying to hold them back as Leaf drops RGL. How much more can they find? How much space can they take as they begin to flood out? It's all on the Heat now, and he cannot hold it. 4-0 on pistols for Cloud9.
I'll make them remember.
And while MiBR has been putting up solid first halves despite losing the pistol, despite losing in that one the bonus too, you've got to be able to convert at least one of them. That's going to be a thorn in their side moving forward. It's funny because the last time we spoke to the Brazilian casters and they were giving us insight on MiBR and Fury ahead of that match last week, they really were mentioning MiBR was struggling on ecos, on anti-ecos, not the pistols, but we haven't really even seen much of that from MiBR because Cloud9's continuously just dominating the economic game.
Amiris was just caught.
Well, that's the
out.
timing there. Leaf is able to get so much faster with the Neon.
You just have to be expecting that, knowing what's on the other side, but they're having such a hard time dealing with what's in front of them that they can't figure out stuff like that.
And the fake plan is so good from Jake, too. It's just insane from Cloud9. Almost flawless, but Leaf is feeling himself.
The round may have not been, but for all intents and purposes, the series has come as close as you can get to it.
You know, normally I don't put any thought into like the sensitivity discussion. A lot of people just go into people's chat, they type sense. I'm like, whatever.
Exclamation point sense.
Yeah. The conversation that Mel was having about Leaf sense, the guy plays such a low sense, but he's playing Neon. And you saw it right there. The amount of swings you need to be making and large flicks while you're playing Neon. It's crazy that he plays those agents with that type of play style.
It better be a big mouse pad. He's found plenty of success and the likely possibility of more to come. Cloud9 up 6. And MiBR have plenty of rifles to work with this round. This should be the first time we see the full strength of their defensive holds.
Bonus again as well.
These have been converted. Statistically, you called it in the previous map. Cloud9 are very good at situations like this. High wall to ensure that heaven is covered as well.
You're usually converting 1 out of 5 bonuses as an average team. It's a tough round to make work, and you can see why. There's only 2 Spectres here. They bought a rifle on Zeppa. Might even be a buy. 2 rifles bought in that first one. This is really tough, actually, because Cloud9 has a significant, evening of the advantage that MiBR might have on this.
I wonder what the plan is here, though. They put up that deep wall. They didn't really take a ton of space off of it.
30 seconds left.
Look how tight they are. As soon as that shot went out, 2 players came back to try to fight as well and trade. Just walking on the site, it's free again.
Yeah, they're going to be ahead of the smoke. That's intended to conceal what's on the other
MiBR
side.
is not aware that this is a possibility right now. I thought Cloud9 might walk up into this heaven and just try to challenge.
Turning of the flash from Zeppa and the paranoia buys just enough time.
Stuck,
the
though.
timing out of that
He's
was
stuck.
insane.
A smoke pop from Jake, and I think they might think he fell off, but he's got a gap back here.
He's overstaying. It's just one, though. Spike was planted. Leaf in a position to play.
Just play in your face.
Safety valve in case it's needed to be, and that seems to be the case. It looks like Leaf may have to make a play here. And there it is. That's the
Player
play,
standing.
but it's just one. Zelsis
Enemy
getting it
remaining.
down to 1. He pulls off, and he gets the Red Bull clutch. He's cold, man.
Unbelievable. It's another bonus converted. What do you do here?
Oh, you wrap
If
it
you're
up.
MiBR.
You wrap it up, you put a bow on it, and you move on.
Player standing.
They can't. They can't just simply do that. This is it. This is almost their season. There's definitely a couple situations where they can make it through. But if they want a clean path where they have the fate in their hands, they can't. They have to come back here. It takes a very strong team to be able to do that. I don't know if we've seen that capability so far this season, but it must come out for MiBR.
Late timeout called from Bazooka. You mentioned again, Ball, the importance of this moment. The possibility that the season very much hangs in the balance. You have 20 seconds now to figure out what it is you're going to tell your team to somehow break the mold of this whooping that you're getting from Cloud9.
I'm telling them it's only 7. Take it 1 round at a time, yada, yada, yada. But you're right. There's not much time to discuss. There's not much time even for the fact to sink in.
Which might be for the best, all things considered.
I honestly don't even know if they realize the importance, too. Given the fact that situation changes so rapidly here at the end of the season.
Right.
A reminder of why it matters so much now. As at the beginning of the day, it wasn't there. EG beating Sentinels early on makes it so that they take that record lead against MiBR right now.
Turret out.
So MiBR
Toxins
are
going
out
up. I have the spike.
of running with EG unless they can really
Toxin
rack
screen
up
down.
a battle against them. Cloud9 just freezing, waiting, pausing for this fight. It's brutal. It's so brutal.
I mean, JCZ
What
can't see
destruction.
anything, bro. He's flashed, he's stunned, he's dead.
And you've overcommitted through the revolving door too. I love that from Cloud9. There's a moment in time where you realize, okay, they're gonna try to make a real play here. They're really gonna try to overstep, overtake any sort of advantage they can get. So MiBR forcing into that, going for the orb, not seeing anything see. Cloud9 is just waiting to spring that trap.
Spike planted.
And what a
Flawless.
trap it was. A flawless round for Cloud9 as they get to series point. Out of the timeout from MiBR.
Match point.
I mean, no real
no hope.
anything. Yeah.
No hope. You're looking at 8 rounds now in a row and you have no money for it. No hope.
I mean, you're talking perfect Valorant just to extend the series.
Yep.
I mean, talk about digging yourself a hole.
MiBR, unfortunately, have been on the receiving end
Time
of
to mobilize my
a
pack.
significant amount of the one-sided maps that we've seen here in the Americas League, and
Blinded.
we might see that tally get added even more unless Heat has something to say about it, but he doesn't.
No, Leaf does.
They are charging their way forward to playoffs, to securing, to clinching, and the information gained from Jake too. Cloud9, 2 more players stand with it before not only a secure grasp on that second seed, but a guarantee of playoffs, which wasn't really in anybody's mind that they were going to miss at this point. But definitely a box checked.
Position spotted, and once again, Miri's paranoid, taking damage, spam through the wall,
Last player standing.
and it's all on FRZ now. And with 4 targets to choose from, none of them found.
Attackers win.
Cloud9 continue to soar.
To playoffs and beyond, this team continues to achieve new heights and dispatches the teams that they really should in very easy fashion. Over and over, we see this team expected to win, and they do just that. Mad credit to them. And again as well, they have the best map differential in the league, despite Loud being undefeated. I honestly think that they've shifted from the team to beat, taking that from Loud, and look so dangerous against anybody who faces them.
Dog, I mean, when they're playing like that, it's hard to really make an argument otherwise,
Yeah.
right? Like, they're playing so clean, and even some of the small mistakes that they make, I think, for example, and this is nitpicking, Leaf with a missed stun still swings out, still gets the kills anyway, right? Like, even when little things like that happen,
Yeah.
they're still just so mechanically sound. They're just, it's alarming, dude, when it feels like even when Cloud9 may not be clicking on all cylinders, they're still head and shoulders above the field.
Sure, but I also don't think we've really seen much glimpses of that. You're talking rounds, like
Yo, yeah, absolutely.
very
This is
minuscule.
nitpicking, yes.
Yeah. And I think the crazy part too is they've shifted for me from a team that is super fluid, super dynamic, super flowy, making calls on the fly, relying a lot on the mid-rounding and information that the team is getting. But ever since Leaf just shifted to primary duelist for this team, of course, sometimes Zeppa is playing that Raze for him. They look insane, man. And it's more structured than ever at this point. I think this map is split, and this series overall contributes to that significantly. They look absolutely drilled. You gave this team time, and they've gone crazy with it.
And that's a testament. I feel like we say this every week. It's a testament to the work that obviously the team has put together. It's a testament to NCE. It's a testament to Cupert to have the team ready to go, to be clean, to be sharp against a team that you should be beating,
Yep.
right? People are expecting you to win. For it to be that clean is just impressive because, as I mentioned a little bit ago, there are a lot of teams, young teams, that go into this like lackadaisical, blase blah type attitude, and they get sucker punched. So for Cloud9 to get through this as cleanly as they did, I mean, they're cleaning up the big teams. They're cleaning up the small teams. Ooh, you asked it earlier, Bola. Who's gonna wipe the grin off their face? I don't know that anyone can.
Yeah, I think we might have to wait till playoffs and beyond, potentially. They definitely look like a team that could take this entire split. They definitely could. And I know Loud is lurking, but I would bet that they're hungry for that rematch because they pushed them in that series too, and that was really on in the league.
Early on, I think like week 2, something like that. It was early on, and things have changed, but Cloud9 continues to win. We're gonna throw it to a break, and then I'm actually gonna run down there, and I'm gonna do the Verizon post-match interview. We'll see you guys in a moment.
Run!
Welcome back to the Verizon post-match interview. I'm standing alongside Leaf after they have just dismantled MiBR. It looked effortless. It looked, man, that's up close. That's nice and tight, bro. It looked effortless. A lot of that series, to be honest with you guys were having fun. You were laughing in between maps. Was it as easy as you guys made it look?
I think mainly it was just being prepared for whatever they had to do. We kind of knew that like this is their do or die. obviously, if they lose this, then I don't think they can make playoffs, but I'm not sure. But they need to win. Everybody wants to win. And we made the adjustments pretty early on in both maps, and I think that it really just helped us keep momentum and stuff like that. And obviously, we're just having fun, too.
Well, it also helps when you go 20-9 on that last map. Everything was just clicking. And again, I was having the conversation with Bala, even when it seemed like there were like minuscule mistakes, you guys were just significantly better and you were able to overcome those. When you're playing as good a Valorant as you are, I mean, the best in Americas, I think pretty objectively, what do you guys even work on at this point? What's left to shore up? Because it seems like you guys are head and shoulders above the rest.
I mean, you obviously don't see our practice because we make a lot of stupid mistakes in practice, but that's like the main thing is just keeping the fundamentals and like winning the rounds that you're supposed to win. Obviously, like people are gonna have hero rounds where they just 4K. That's kind of just Valorant, and that's just the way some people are in franchising. They're really good. They're here for a reason. And I just think that keeping it minimal and just making sure that you play a higher percentage game is like the way that we work on it.
We even had a couple of times where we got to see MC and he was laughing backstage. You could tell he was having a good time. You guys were having a good time as well. Can you tell me a bit about, you know, we had an interview with MC recently where he was talking about how passionate he is and how emotional, I believe was the word that he used. What was it like behind the scenes today from MC during the timeouts in between maps?
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for him, obviously, but I feel like from our perspective, we kind of had it under control. He didn't really have to do a lot today. In the game, we were figuring out what to do and like the solution, basically. So I think he was just admiring, basically. There were some rounds where like I'm just running in as Neon and I'm killing people and I'm just like laughing in the middle of the round when the round's not even over. So it's like, it must be fun to watch sometimes, you know, especially when it's going your way. So yeah.
I mean, for Cloud9 fans, I'm sure it was a lot of fun to watch. You guys have gone through this with an almost spotless record. You guys seem to be getting better week after week. Do you wish, given what you know now, that you had played Loud at the end of the season? Do you think about that loss at all, or are you just full steam ahead, full focus on what's before you?
Not really worried about the loss. I mean, I think even in the moment, we were like, wow, we kind of choked that. On the second map, at least against Loud, and we were like, wow, we definitely choked that. But I mean, I don't really care about it. We still want to get top 2 seed, and we're on pace for it. So it's like we're just gonna keep on playing the games that are ahead of us, basically.
Well, it's working. Whatever it is you guys are doing in the Cloud9 camp is working. Congratulations on the win. We're gonna throw it over to Mimi at the desk to close out the day.
Thank you.
Well done, dude.
Thanks very much, Doug, and for Leaf on that Verizon post-match interview. But we have another guest joining us. Zelsis with us on the desk after taking a dominant win over MiBR. And you guys have now clinched playoffs and getting just a few steps away from maybe making Tokyo. Yep. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Sorry. No, honestly, it feels good to win. Obviously, we've been playing really well, so we look really good. We've been playing really confidently in practice in these matches, but I think playoffs for us is like, I mean, I say it to my guys every day, like, playoffs means nothing, honestly. Like, anyone can make playoffs. You could be bottom seed, make playoffs, and you can win. So I'm really hoping that we get second seed, because I'm pretty sure there's a bye for first and second seed, and that'd be pretty big for us. And that's, like, what I want these guys to think about every day. Like, we come in every week, it's 0-0, so...
Yeah, it's a good mentality to come into each week with. But talk a little bit about that kind of the coordination that you have with those guys. Because you were just joking before we came on camera that you're like the old man of the team, the guy who's helping a lot with some of the mid-round calling, adding ideas to the squad. Like, what's your role with them? What's the inside of Cloud9 like?
Yeah, so obviously, you know, the joke of the team is I'm the old guy. But the guys have actually been telling me not to call myself old, because I'm starting to believe it that I'm old, and they keep telling me not to call myself old, so, but we like to joke about it. But, I mean, the chem is just like, I mean, they're really good kids. Like, they care a lot, they try hard, you know, they give me a lot of respect, I respect them a lot. We like to listen to each other, it's like a family with us, so, and the 2 new rookies, it's just like, they just kind of slotted in, and it felt really good. Yeah. You know, the team chem was just there so fast, you know, so. And obviously, Mel, you know, like the team chem, when you get like a new system, it could be like one new player, one new thing, you know, you never know. But you get that one new thing, and it's like, it just feels like heaven, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No,
I was
go.
going to say, what's like the secret to you guys having this consistent form? And for you individually, I watch a lot of your comm videos and y'all's interviews with C9, and you talk about how like you come into practice energetic, you come into matches energetic, and you know the rookies are looking at you to be that emotional support and that emotional like leader. How is it that you come to every match playing as well as you do, mid-rounding as well as you do, calming as well as you do, emotionally like bringing up the entire team as well as you do every single time?
Damn, I never really thought about that.
I
mean, like my instant answer is just like you kind of have to do it. Like I think if you have a team that when you're like losing rounds and you don't have someone to bring it back, make everyone breathe. Like someone has like a sick round or a clutch or something, or you lose like a really like we should have won that round type thing. If you don't have someone on the team to like bring that energy to like make sure everyone's doing okay mentally, emotionally, like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have someone like that on the team, you're gonna struggle, right?
Yeah.
If you start to lose, like we're winning right now.
Exactly.
So everything's gonna go really well for us.
Yeah.
But we try and make sure like, I don't think it's like a fluke run for us. I think it's like we try and make sure that like our mentals are right. Like we're winning rounds, we're laughing, whatever, but we're making sure that like, okay, next round. Like we're not getting too in our heads. And I think for me, like energy-wise, it's just like, it allows my team to do their job better if I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of how I look at it.
That's why Effie's misses you, bro. Every day, bro.
But that's what I want to talk about in the game, right? Because you said you're winning, and I'm no deny on that, but you're winning pistols, you're winning thrifties, you're winning gun rounds, you're winning everything right now too, pretty much, right? You're probably the highest stats team in Americas so far. And when you're looking at new teams coming into the Americas, for example, I'm not going to name teams, but we always talk about things that they have to work on. I'm not going to name some teams.
This guy's already got too many fines.
We talk about how they always have, some things to work on here and there, but it almost seems for C9 you've been perfect from the start. So where do you bring that credit to, and what's the game plan going into those?
I honestly think the credit's like our staff, like MC and Cupert. I think they do like outside of, they don't get talked a lot about, and they actually get like, I know MC gets like a little hate here and there and like all this other stuff, cutting yay, vanity, like whatever, right? Whatever case may be, stuff like that. But like look at the guard, look at like the two new players that we have. I think like MC and Cupert do a lot for us in game and out. So the credit's due to them, I think, honestly. So.
Yeah. It comes through clearly in your gameplay, but I wanted to ask about the dynamic in the server a little bit, because you're a team with a lot of voices. Rooney comes in as the IGL. You're someone who talks a lot. We've heard from MCE that Leaf is someone who has a lot of say sometimes in adding ideas to the team. How do you manage so many different players that are so willing to add a lot to the squad?
I think the good thing about Rooney IGLing is he has like a calm voice, whereas me and Nathan kind of have like that like eagerness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Rooney kind of calls like his things, and then if me and Nathan Leaf have like a read or something, they kind of just let us take over, right? Or like if someone's like, let's do this, and then someone calls something, it's like, no, I think we like should really, really do this, and then like we just kind of trust each other. So if someone makes a call, we just do that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, like go next round and just make like the same call there. So I think it's just a good dynamic between like his calmness and IGLing, and then me and Nathan adding like little bits and pieces, or like if we ever read, then we do that.
Yeah, it's really a good way to look at things for you guys to balance all those different voices. But another thing, you mentioned it a little bit, Vans, that you guys have been excellent is the eco rounds and the bonus rounds. It's honestly ridiculous the amount of stinger rounds that your team wins. What's up with that?
Rooney has like a great sheriff, and then me, Leaf, and Zeppa have been like no-lifing the stinger, and I just think it's so easy to get
Do you warm up
one.
the stinger? Do you go into the range?
No, I should actually. That
You
would
could
be
bring it to the next level
That would
with
actually be
that
smart. I'm gonna do that next week, and if I win, it's your credit. If
All
I
right,
lose,
I appreciate that.
that's unlocked with the stinger. But no, I think we play our eco rounds. I don't even know if you want to call them eco rounds. It's like half buys in this game, right? So I think the biggest thing with our half buys is we play them like gun rounds almost. Like we take every round as serious as possible, whether we have classics, whether we have stingers or actual guns, and we try and win the round that way. Like we think every round is winnable, no matter what we have. So I think that's the biggest thing for our ecos.
Yeah. Well, now you're setting your sights here, actually qualifying into the playoffs. So congratulations, by the way. And, you wanted to secure that second seed. You have 2 more games to go. Now you're going to be behind Loud. That rematch maybe is going to be a little bit later on. But, Zeppa always talked about how they're so confident, how you're so confident that you're going to fry every single team. Are we expecting that right now in the playoffs, too? Is that how confident and how comfortable you're playing against other teams in the Americas now?
I think for me personally, I want to play Loud again. I think we should have 2-0'd them. I think we should be number 1 right now. I think they fluked us. They had no idea what they were doing on Ascent.
Okay.
just ran at us. That's what I'm saying. I think Loud's good. Don't get me wrong. It's not shit talk, but you know.
But you're better.
But we're better. I think. So I'm excited to play them in the playoffs, and it'll be more higher stakes. It'll be more, you know, more nerves, more everything. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what happens.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Love to see a little bit of confidence there. It's makes a lot of sense too, because Loud have had so many close games, whereas you guys, every time you're expected to stomp a team, you just stomp them. You just run away with it. It's been fantastic. But let's talk a little bit about what's coming up besides you guys. Now, for the rest of the weekend, we have Loud 100 Thieves and then Leviathan Crew coming through tomorrow. You and Loud have playoffs locked, but everyone else is still like super chaotic. Who are the teams you expect to be joining you in that like top 4 area?
I hope Leviathan makes playoffs so that we can push them out first round. I want to play
This
Leviathan,
guy.
and I want to take them out first round.
Is there something there?
It's a personal
What's the history?
vendetta. It's a little ranked banter. it's a little ranked banter shit talk between me and Taco. So now I want to play them, and that's the one team I want to stomp. Them and Loud. But I mean, I really want like NA representatives to make it. I have a lot of love for the NA teams. So
No, you got to keep composed, man.
Sorry.
okay, but yeah, the NA representatives, like I have a lot of love for Sen, 100 Thieves, EG, those guys. So I mean, the more NA teams that make it in, the happier I am for them. So playoffs will be interesting.
How many NA teams do you think are actually going to make it?
I don't even know.
There's
the
3
standings.
slots.
Wait. Oh, Tokyo?
3 slots to Tokyo, yeah. Do you think it could be you and NRG?
Obviously.
Sure.
Realistically, I mean, I don't know. NRG and EG both started so slow, and now they're winning all their games.
Yeah.
So realistically, I would like us, NRG, and Loud probably to be representatives.
That seems pretty reasonable.
That's like my hope.
Is it safe to say that EG could maybe be like a dark horse now coming back and then maybe even qualifying in the long run with the results recently?
Oh yeah, for sure. EG's my dark horse team. Like
Okay.
I've always thought those guys were like, looking at their team, they kept Boostio, Jaw, Calm. They started like the 10-man roster. Potter's doing a really good job over there. So looking now that they're playing well, they're kind of my dark horse team. Awesome. And I think they care a lot, so they deserve it.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see if that comes to fruition. Again, huge congratulations on making playoffs. We're hoping to see you continue that run, maybe get that top 2 spot, maybe look towards Tokyo. And thank you both for joining us throughout today. But that does wrap things up here for day number 1 of week 6 here at VCT Americas. And to close things out, let's take a little peek at our Prime Gaming post-match highlights. We'll see you folks, same time, same place, tomorrow. With playoffs only weeks away, every match is do or die, and every single round counts. It's the Kings of Clout taking on NA's biggest underdog in EG versus Sentinels. Both these teams have playoff hopes on the line, and an important game in this one.
Jogging, but release the trade comes out. Sprays once again through the smoke. Ethan gets 2. Now Sentinels looking for the flank.
Oh my
Just
God.
Ethan waiting there. Clear an advantage. Calm still inside of the site. Coming out. And the seals it in for EG as they win a convincing fracture to start off the series. Nobody could actually get into the fuse so far for Sentinels. And you can definitely see it right here as the high tide comes down still as we have nobody onto the spike. A round's gonna come in for the evil geniuses as Busio adds up 4 kills into the round. Can he actually get it done? On to Takamo! A 1 versus 1! He gets the ace! And we're looking for a timing off this flash! Again! It's beautiful for the kills into the round! And EG to win the series!
EG claimed victory over their first North American team. They've been having trouble doing it, and they're able to find that win here over Sentinels pretty convincingly.
Cloud9 are looking for a top 2 spot in playoffs and have their sights set on Tokyo. But for MiBR, their hopes are still in the hands of this game. A chance for playoffs remains, but it depends on winning against a Cloud9 that has looked almost indomitable thus far this season.
This spot is so good from RTO. Of course! Doesn't matter if they can take it before the MiBR players get here. You need the rest of the presence there.
And a message sent. I don't give up. Okay, once again, aggressive angle and rewarded.
What a flash.
I mean, what a shot. Just quite literally flawless out from Cloud9.
Yes, sir. It's beautiful.
Cloud9 13-5 against MiBR. The numbers in favor of the attacking side still. It's Jake who cannot hold them back. MiBR on the board.
There we go.
Actually, Zepa's just able to
gonna
get two
spray
of his
through
own.
this.
And there are only 2 playing back, and they're going to get run over. Off of the flash.
That's a good
Timing
flash
is
to lock
really
FRZ
nice.
out.
Yeah, it is. He's just going to hold. He's just going to hold. He just holds it. He just holds it and steals the round away. Cloud9 continue to soar.
To playoffs and beyond, this team continues to achieve new heights. Over and over, we see this team expected to win, and they do just that.